This is an incoming transmission from the Jersey Shore.
This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, powered by McLean Advisory Group. Today you'll hear some of the most important financial information and wealth-building techniques available anywhere.
Let's get this party started, huh?
Do you have a question for Scott and the team?
Am I on the air?
609-488-4646. That's 609-488-4646.
We'll get that information to them by radio.
Now, Financial Insanity with Scott McLean.
Hey, welcome to Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, McLean Advisory Group. I'm Alex Dingman, and today Scott and I have a special topic. Kind of sounds like it's straight out of a video game. Now, this idea came from one of our faithful listeners. Thank you so much, and always send those thoughts in if you have them, 609-488-4646. But this person wanted more clarity on brics. Now, let's jump into the world of brics. Now, not the kind that we're building houses with, but something that could change the way some big countries play the money game. So first, Scott, what the heck are we talking about when we're saying brics?
I'm glad you brought that up because, Alex, imagine Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa sitting around a giant monopoly board deciding that they want to start using their own monopoly money instead of the game of standard currency. You see, that's brics for you. A group of countries teaming up and using their own currency instead of relying on the U.S. dollar, which is now very strong and very well. But, of course, the world's go-to currency, which is the USA, since World War II. That's a lot, Alex.
Well, that is really interesting, and I'm just kind of trying to think about this, those countries that are involved, interesting, but it sounds like it's kind of like they're coming up with some sort of secret club, some sort of members-only deal, secret handshake and all that, but why are they doing this, Scott?
Yeah, special...
Yeah, exactly.
Knock on the door.
Exactly.
Yeah, so you think, Alex, it's like when you and your friends decide you'd rather trade stickers instead of Legos. These countries think that creating their own currency will make up trading, of course, among themselves easier. That's been going on for a while. This is nothing new, and I've gotten some calls from clients. And, of course, I thought, Alex, let's face it, it's always fun to shake things up and to try something new, especially, if you could have more control of the game. And that's what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, and
who's going to get control?
And I can see how that can make a little bit of sense. So it's kind of like a gamer deciding if they're going to go on console or PC, and people are going to have strong feelings about either one. But how does this really affect the people that are listening and they're saving up for something big like buying a house? How does this information affect them?
Real brics, buying a house. That's the spirit, Alex. I think about, even though the countries are planning their own currency party, it doesn't mean our dollars will turn into pumpkin carriage at midnight. I think that's what one of the listeners called up, and he says, Scott, how will that affect us? What's going on? You see, the U.S. dollar will still be the currency you'll be using to buy your pizza pies and your Easy Bake Oven for your grandkids. The brics currency is like adding another controller in the game. It really doesn't replace the existing ones right now. Could it change? It's possible, but not right now.
And if you have questions about this or any topics that we discussed, that number for Scott McLean and his wonderful team, McLean Advisory Group, here in Waretown, but serving New Jersey, 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646. So no reason for people to panic here. It sounds like brics more about choices on the global stage than anything else, but what should people be focusing on with the talk of this new currencies? What is relevant?
I think, first of all, is relaxing and understanding really what's going on. While the world really does its thing and trying to figure out how can they usurp the U.S. dollar, we need to keep our eyes on your own financial health. Those of you out there, how are you faring out? How is your investments doing? You're checking your savings. Are you managing your budget? Is your interest, are you getting the best interest rate you can in your bank accounts, which we had a call with one of our clients this morning before this call. And really, as you build towards your own personal goal, your retirement goal, whether it's selling your house, getting a new house, going on vacation, or just maybe another big investment, focus, for you listening, listen, focus on what you control, not what you can't control. And you'll be set in a matter of currencies is in your wallet right now. Now, that doesn't mean your advisor shouldn't keep you up to date. Obviously, we should keep our clients up to date. Right now, it's no big deal, but it is in talking matters, and that's what we can control. What's going on? And that's why at our firm, we look at the 3D process. How can we really help our clients be as most, I should say, safe or as well-informed as possible so you can enjoy your retirement?
Well, and Scott, one of your great values, too, is you're able to take this information and really put it in perspective for folks. And so this faithful listener, they wanted this information out about Bric, so they called in asking for more, and we're going to do this today. But that's really, one of your main values, Scott. Speak to that a little bit about, you're somebody who can take this information, whether it's the, national economy or we're talking here about the global economy and, on a world scale, but you're able to put this into perspective for folks and let them focus on what really matters as opposed to just hearing these things and maybe, going exactly to, the doom and gloom thought process that so many of us can do and we just don't have the answers.
And you're right. I think if you're older like myself, you remember 2000 to 2002, the market dropped almost 55%. Then 2007 to 2009, that was a cataclysmic tummy ache. A lot of people bought a lot of booze and a lot of Pepto-Bismol because they didn't understand what's going on in the market. So I get the understanding is our dollar going away. I get it understanding what's going to happen to our currency. I get it saying you're worried about your family. And then, of course, what about your kids and grandkids? I can't speak for that in the future. I just have to keep my eye on what's happening now and what the political position is. And we'll know more later on as we see the political showdown coming up pretty soon with the new presidency around. But I think about the BRICS and I guess the biggest thing, Alex, people's out there, are you doing your financial planning? Are you doing your budget sheets? Are you addressing what's most important to you and your family? And again, I understand you're worried about the other countries that want to pull away from the U.S. And I think to happen overnight, I just don't see any way, shape, or possibility it could happen overnight. Now, that doesn't mean it can't.
Sure.
But I'm just saying that is just a huge transition of how we're buying our goods and services. So, again, if you've been doing your financial planning and maybe you've called our office at 609-488-4646, maybe you've asked me some questions off the air, or those of you who have gone in and texted me some information, and we want to make it well to you. And I appreciate a few of you clients calling about the BRICS, about the dollar currency. But I don't want you to hesitate not to call our office and say, Scott, I need some information. 609-488-4646, because it's easy to put things off. It's easy to say, I'll get to it. It's easy to say, well, I'll think about it later, and it's off your mind. All of a sudden it shows up on the TV show, and now you're scratching your head and you're worried. Guys, if you're out there, women, are you out there? You're concerned. I'm here. I've been doing this thing over 40 plus years. I've been doing this and watching what's happened. Many of us have seen the economy shift. We've seen presidencies shift. We've seen the political world as well as this crap going on in the colleges right now. It's amazing. But are you set in your finances? Can you say you're bulletproof? Are you, if the market were to drop 30%, how would your portfolio hang out? How would it do? What's the beta factor of your portfolio, the risk factor? If the beta factor is high, you could be losing more money than you thought. And that is what we talk about to our clients. So again, commit to your own financial well-being. Commit to being proactive and approaching your investments. This is why people call us so often during the week, during these shows, Alex, is when they call our office at 609-488-4646. I'm here. Now, if I don't call you back right away, I will. My staff will make it available to you. But I can tell you, we're in some different waters right now, and you probably need someone who's on top of their game. That's what I can see challenging right now. People are not on top of their game. They're just pushing products and sales, but are they educating the clients out there?
You're somebody that's never going to, judge somebody harshly or look at somebody like they're dumb for some question. I mean, not everybody can be expected to know all these things, and like you and your team does. And so give that number out again and just encouraging folks, if they do have questions, concerns, that they can come see you and your team.
I'd love to hear from you. If you're out there, if you got questions, we'll get the answers if we don't have them. How's that? And I can tell you, if you give our studios a call, 609-488-4646. Any questions good and regarding the finances and your situation? Perhaps if you'd like to say, Scott, I need to know how we sit in our situation, my wife and I, or maybe you're single or you have a partner. How do we sit? How can we reduce taxes? How can we make our money last a good long time? How do we protect our money from the crows and the clowns? And if something happens to us, and then again, how can I hide my assets or reposition my assets in case the nursing home wants to get them? How do you do it? It's real simple. 609-488-4646. This is all I do, and I love it.
Don't go it alone. Call Scott and his team, McLean Advisory Group, 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646. Plenty more to come here on Financial Insanity, out-of-the-box thinking for your financial sanity.
Stop for a moment and think about this. Do you know how much money in your 401k or IRA is actually yours? Or will the government take a bigger chunk than you thought? Remember, you still might owe taxes on that money, but do you have a plan to help make sure you don't pay more than you should? At McLean Advisory Group, we believe you deserve to keep more of what you've earned, which is why we're here to help you navigate the confusing world of retirement taxes. It's your money. You deserve to know what's at stake. Right now, taxes are historically low, but they won't be this low forever. So call the McLean Advisory Group team today so you don't miss out on this opportunity. 609-488-4646. That's 609-488-4646. You work hard for your money, and we'll work just as hard to help you keep it. McLean Advisory Group, 609-488-4646. Investment advisory services offered through Sound Income Strategies, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisory firm. McLean Tax Advisory Group and Sound Income Strategies are not associated entities.
Get all this stuff and you try to put it away like these hoarders on TV. It has an emotional attachment.
So, Scott, you're saying I don't have to keep every single drawing that my son has done? You're saying I could throw some of that away?
The answer is yes. You can take a picture, then throw it out.
This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, presented by McLean Advisory Group.
Today, we are talking about why it's important to work with an investment advisor who can help you navigate the complex legal and tax landscape. Oh, yeah, it's a lot out there. Remember, if you have any questions, the number 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646. This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, McLean Advisory Group. And Scott, please talk to me a little bit about why it's important to discuss retirement's complex legal and tax issues with an advisor.
I want to drive to Florida.
Okay.
The worst place to drive from New Jersey, Alex, is when you get to that D.C. belt. I think many of you can really relate to the D.C. belt. So frankly, when we're hauling our horses, I actually put the map on. I wake my wife up since I'm driving the 6-horse.
Sure.
I just don't want to. I want to go on the outer belt. Everybody knows what I'm talking about because you get stuck in the middle of the D.C. traffic. It is a flippin' nightmare. And of course, especially when you're pulling animals. Why do I tell you that? Well, in the preparation, I actually have my GPS set up, and then of course we have water in the stalls. We have hay in the stall. It's a lot of work when you're moving animals from point A to point B. It's a lot of work when you're planning a trip. And when you plan a trip, do you have, in my mind, do I have enough tools to maybe, what if the tires go flat? Who do I call? What if something happens? And it happened to us just last year when it was a terrible accident my daughter and my wife got into.
Right.
But notwithstanding, when you're in preparation for a long trip, By the way, you don't stop. For those of you who are unaware of animals, when you're driving horses, you don't stop. It's about a 16 to 18-hour drive where we're going, and you just keep going. So obviously you take a couple potty breaks, maybe get a little something to eat, but it's a nonstop trip. And the horses, of course, need to get their self set up when they get there. What am I talking about? Planning for a long trip requires strategic planning. You might not think about checking the air and the pressure and oil, maybe checking the all the lube and the car's up to date, the bearings. Every little item could cause a tremendous nightmare. When it comes to retirement, Alex, I'm not sure if you're aware, but when you're taking money out of your retirement income, that's the tax return. When you're planning to pull money out, it's all of the investments, whether they're IRAs or 401ks or 403bs, whether they're your non-qualified money, meaning non-qualified money that is taxed differently, long-term capital gains, short-term capital gains. When you invest in the world of investments, you're investing in either ETFs or mutual funds or stocks, depending which, of course, is the lowest price, lowest fee. And then, of course, you're looking at how do I now put all of this together and to design a plan where in the first phase of retirement, I call it the go-go years. You're going to screw up in the go-go years, Alex, but that's part of the financial planning process.
Sure.
Which could lead your money to a mousetrap, which is what I put in my book. The financial planning process can lead your money to a mousetrap. What I mean? Not paying attention to taxes, not paying attention to the legal ramifications, and then not paying attention to when you're pulling money out. How is it structured? You know, if you're going through that right now, I think about this all the time, Alex. I would love to speak to you off the air. I've been doing this now. I think it's the 43rd year of my industry, my business. I've been involved. I am still good looking. I may be a lot older, but I can tell you, when it comes to retirement or planning your retirement, 609-488-4646 could be the best number you could ever had. Why? Well, 609-488-4646. That phone number could ask me questions off the air. No cost. We don't charge. We've been this nonprofit radio station for so many years at WBNJ, and the reason we're here is because all we do is offer educational information for you. So when you're in retirement and planning your retirement, you, of course, have a resource center to go to. How do I do this? And what I find in my world of financial planning as a mousetrap, I talk about as the financial planning leads your money to a mousetrap, how do we put all of this together? There's nothing worse than making a cake and leaving the wrong ingredient out or too much salt. It ruins everything. And so when you think about a financial advisor, did the financial advisor look at the tax ramifications, the legal ramifications, and the investment ramifications? Because this could be a real trap that you don't even know you're in. So I'd love to be able to speak to anybody. If you have questions right now, I have answers, 609-488-4646. But notwithstanding, I think, Alex, when we talk about the go-go years, you're going to be blowing a lot of money. I mean, you go down to when you're taking a trip to Florida, you're going to spend money in gas. If you're really frugal like me, you try to find the best gas price. You want to make sure is it big enough to turn around this big trailer if you're doing that. Or for those of you in a speed race car, you want to make sure. I don't know how these people are going to be doing these electric cars. You got to stop every so many miles. But me, I want to keep going. But looking at retirement, Alex, if you're not paying attention, the financial advisor is not looking at the whole picture. It would be like going to a doctor. Alex, let me give you an example of you out there.
Yeah.
Alex comes to me. I am Dr. McLean. And Alex says, well, Scott, I've been having these headaches for the past 5 years coming to you. Do you think, and Alex says, Scott, do you think I should get an MRI? And if I said to Alex, that's a good idea, Scott, Alex then says to me, Scott, do you think I should get a EKG and maybe a blood test and urine test? And what do you think? And I say, Alex, that's a great idea. If you didn't fire me immediately, then you're just double dumb. What I mean? If the advisor is not asking deep questions like, do you have a special needs son or daughter? Oh, they're Down syndrome and they live with you? And how do you plan on taking care of them? That's not a financial discussion, but it really is. How is the child going to be taken care of? These questions are really deep, and they will be part of your retirement. I know you're probably thinking, if you're listening right now, well, what's that got to do with retirement? Everything. Again, when you're taking that trip from New Jersey to Florida and you want to avoid the DC roundabout, well, you need to really be on your game. So in the early years, it's a go-go years. You might be spending a little bit more money, but having somebody hold you accountable. Then you got the slow-go years. You don't want to do as much. You did it. You done it. Maybe you don't want to do it again. And so maybe your spending is a little bit less. And then the no-go years. No, I don't want to do it. Go have fun, kids. Here's a couple bucks. Enjoy life. How is your money spent down? What is the game plan? And this is not a set it and forget it deal. This is almost like going to the masseuse every year because you need a tune-up, or maybe the chiropractor, to making sure your money is in a good place.
Absolutely. 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646. And with just the couple minutes we have left here in this segment, Scott, it's not just about picking the right investments. You have to consider a lot of factors, tax consequences, your estate plan. There's just a lot there to it. And to your point, like a successful road trip, a lot of details, and better to talk to somebody who's been on that trip before than going into it blind for the first time.
And one thing we didn't even bring up, which was healthcare.
Yep.
That's another left hook right around the corner, let alone your spouse getting sick or disabled. How are we spending money down? Do we open up a trust? How do we hide our money, or I should say reposition our money, so the estate doesn't get squandered away? And then, of course, the nursing care facility gets it out. Now we can use the Medicare, Medicaid planning and hide assets to protect it for who? The children, the wife, the husband. How do we do that? And so when people give us a call at our office, I'd love to take your call at 609-488-4646. By the way, that's our website, just add.com. I'll help you or guide you, try to give you some kind of ideas. And I can tell you the time we spend together will be very valuable for you, not for Scott, for you. I've done this for so long, and I love what I do. I love guiding people. I love more when you hear the information and then you take action. There's nothing worse than these educated dummies who has all this knowledge but never apply it. 609-488-4646. I'd love to talk to you off the air.
And Scott, really important question, the most important question you get all day. What does a bee use to brush its hair?
A bee?
Yeah.
Bumblebee.
Like a bumblebee. What does it use to brush its little hair?
I don't know.
A honeycomb.
Yeah. Dude, are you drinking?
Yeah.
What's going on here?
No. That's pure gold.
I love it.
609-488-4646 is the number. 609-488-4646. Just add a.com. And real quickly here, about a minute left, but they might get the pleasure of hearing Bonnie on the other end. I know Bonnie is huge to what you do over there, and she's somebody, if you don't get a hold of Scott when you call, Bonnie will point you in the right direction, right?
She will do it. She takes care of my books. She is amazing, and I can tell you, if ever people come into our office, and you want to get more information, I'd love to get your hands on my book, The Three Blind Mice, How the Financial Planning Process Leads Your Money. It's totally complimentary. You come visit with me. That's my gift to you. If you like to read, just don't take it because it's not made for firewood, but it's made to fire you up to get your finances in order.
609-488 609-488-4646. Again, 609-488-4646. Just add a .com for the website. When we come back, we're going to continue talking about how to navigate through the complex legal and tax landscape in retirement. Don't go anywhere.
Who likes uncertainty? Wall Street certainly does not. With near record inflation and partisan politics, there's a lot of uncertainty right now. What will America's future look like? What will your future look like? Will your taxes go up? Will your savings go down? For more than 40 years here in the Jersey Shore area, Scott McLean and the team at McLean Advisory Group have seen uncertainty come and go. No matter what the future holds, Scott can help you create a plan designed to preserve your finances in uncertain times. And it's not a matter of if those uncertain times will show up, but when. Call 609-488-4646 now to meet with Scott McLean and the team at McLean Advisory Group. If uncertainty is causing you to feel insecure, Scott McLean might be able to help. Call 609-488-4646 and schedule your visit today. Again, that's 609-488-4646.
Investment advisory services are offered through Sound Income Strategies, LLC. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
Retirement planning, investment planning is a two-way street. It's got to meet. I need to understand the good, bad, and ugly you've been through so we can avoid those issues. This, to me, is very important.
We made it back. This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, presented by McLean Advisory Group.
Today, we are talking about why it is so important to work with an investment advisor who can help you navigate the complex legal and tax landscape. Remember, if you have any questions, the number is 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646. I'm Alex Dingman, here with the more important member of the show, Scott McLean, McLean Advisory Group. And Scott, I know we were talking here just about really equating getting ready for retirement a lot like a big road trip. And I thought you had a great analogy. If you just recap again, the road trips that you take here with your horses down to Florida, and what does that have to do with planning for retirement, Scott?
You know, as you plan a road trip, whether you're taking animals or not, it requires a lot of work. And I was like talking about before, when you're taking these horses and you're pulling behind the truck, you want to make sure everything's all set up. Animals, the hay, the feed, the water, it's a nonstop trip. It's 18 hours. It's a long trip. It's an arduous trip. And all of a sudden you get a flat tire. Do I have tools? And thinking of every possible indication that could slow your trip down or cause your trip to turn into a catastrophe. Same thing as retirement. And so when I think about all the tax and legal issues where I think a lot of people are just absolutely not paying attention to it, all of a sudden you're doing well and you or your lovely spouse are having a wonderful time. You take a trip, you come back, you're out the golf course and you swing the ball, you hit the ball, whatever it is. And as you can tell, I'm not a golfer. and all of a sudden you wake up the next day and you're sore. You find out that maybe your blood count's changing, your white counts are changing. Do I have my wife? Can she call because I go to the doctor? Who's the power of attorney for healthcare matters? Just because you're married, she's not or he is not the one in charge. Or maybe your partner. They're not in charge unless you have a document called Power of Attorney for Healthcare Matters. Now, why is this important to the finances? You know, as a fiduciary in our firm, I want to make sure your my people that I work with, my clients are buttoned up I need just ironclad buttoned up. I want to see the will, power of attorney, living will, healthcare directive. Maybe you need a trust. Maybe you need a special needs trust. Maybe you've got some knucklehead kids that if you gave them $1, they're going to spend $4. Maybe you need a trust that'll delineate or pay out the money on a monthly basis. This is so, so important. By forgetting the taxes is like not filling up the tank all the way to the top. And you have to make unforeseen stops. You can't make unforeseen stops. Or maybe making sure the tires are inflated on this long trip, but you're not paying attention to the tires, and now you're getting worse gas mileage, and you could have a blowout, which could cause your trip from 17 hours to 24 hours. Or maybe you're not paying attention to the legal matters. What happens? God calls you home. Who gets your money? and maybe you have a ex-spouse as a beneficiary you forgot to change when you got remarried. Again, another legal battle just set up down the road. Or maybe you're just sitting there and you think about all the legal aspects and tax aspects, and you pass money on to the children or to the grandchildren. How is that taxable? Can I avoid taxes? Alex, I don't know about you, but if you're not paying attention as a fiduciary for the financial areas, I believe, in my mind, as the three blind mice, they need to talk to each other. The three blind mice would be your accountant, your financial advisor, and of course your legal. Whether they get together or not, the advisor, I believe, should be the quarterback. He should look at the whole play and then guide as you're going on this journey called retirement. What if this happens? How is it taken care of? What if your lights start to go dim and now you got to go to a nursing home? How does that take place? What are the taxes involved if you have to pull extra money out? Should I put money into a trust? If you're thinking about those questions, well, give yourself a hand. Give yourself a clap. Because if you're thinking about it now, take action. There's nothing worse than brilliant people taking no action. I call them double dumb. Don't be double dumb. Take action. When people give us a call at our studios and ask questions at 609-488-4646, when they ask these questions, Alex, and they give us a call or they go to our website at 609-488-4646.com, we've got some neat things that we're adding to our site to help you think through this. I call it the love affair of finances. Your will or your legal documents, your financial documents, and then your tax documents. They must be looked together almost like, as I say in my book, I talk of the composer. Well, the composer is one. Now we've got the conductor who's going to take the composer's music, go to the wonderful orchestra, and now let's play this beautiful music. Or could it be a disastrous music and it doesn't play out? I can tell you, as a musician, one wrong note can be picked up by everybody. One wrong note in your financial plan could be picked up by the crows and the clowns that show up at the funeral.
Yeah.
Do you have them in your life? I guarantee they're there somewhere. 609-488-4646. Write that number down for yourself. If you have questions, I have answers. And if I don't have answers, not act like a smarty pants, I guarantee you I can call so many people at the push of a button. I can call brilliant people that can answer some questions or get answers for you, because there's nothing worse than going into retirement or going into a long trip and not prepared. This is a nightmare.
Well, and truly smart people surround themselves with even smarter people like you just talked about. And so Scott can be that for you, for your finances. 609-488-4646. Now, Scott's one thing that's very important, and I know you do this, but making sure that you have an advisor who's keeping up with the latest legal and tax changes that could affect your investments, because it's not a set it and forget it. It's not a, well, this was right 10, 20 years ago, I'm sure everything is fine. No, you got to have somebody like Scott McLean there looking at these things and making sure that the right choices are being made at the right times.
You could have said that any better. I think the IRS, this is not a laughing matter, even though the IRS, sometimes people get scared. I think the key is an IRS starts knocking on your door for unpaid taxes or penalty, or now we're in probate. Now we have to pay a whole bunch more money when you could have maybe had set your estate up to be as probate free as possible. Or maybe you don't have the legal documents and your spouse, your child, maybe they don't have a power of attorney, and now you've got to make decisions. By not paying attention to those details, not only causes your car to go off the road, or I should say your finances to go off the road, but it also, this undue stress and worry. I wonder, some of you may be going through a health issue. And if you're going through a health issue right now, I can pray for you. But on top of a health issue, let me get to the nitty-gritty. Do you have a power of attorney? Do you have a backup power of attorney for healthcare matters and or financial matters, both. There's two different types. And by not paying attention to, I believe, the financial advisor's job, I believe, or I take it personally, if I don't know all about my clients and know what to do if their lights go dim or maybe they go out, or maybe there's a child that maybe we need to protect from money going to the child, we need to open up a trust account. How do I protect this money that's been endowed to me to protect them as a fiduciary? How can I make sure the best of my ability and capability to educate a client in these areas? And my clients are my friends. Am I doing the very best to make sure that you are buttoned up in these areas? And if not, it's my job, I believe personally, to call your lawyer. Hey, I've noticed this in the agreement. How come there's not a backup to the power of attorney? How come there's not a backup to the executor? You know, I hear the daughter is Down syndrome. How come you don't have a special needs trust planned inside the estate? And when I see this, it's almost like all the advisors today, most of them, not all of them, just want to say, what can I get? Not how can I help? How can I get something out of you? Oh, and they push it off. Like Daddy always said, don't push off a problem when you can handle it.
Yep.
Well, let's call this guy, let him handle it. No, it should be the quarterback, the financial guy or gal in your life that would make those calls, because chances are you don't know the questions you're asking, but the financial person involved should know those questions.
609-488-4646 if you have questions. The number for Scott and his team, 609-488-4646. Just a couple moments left, but I wanted you to hit on something because you were talking and going through the different details that someone must think about, and a lot of the stuff, it's not fun to think about. You don't want to think about having a plan for your health problems in the future. I want to talk about going on a trip. Those are the kind of things. But what you can do, Scott, is you can step in, and because sometimes when we're talking about our own money or our own lives, our heart can get in the way of our own head. Meaning, what we care about and we want something to be true, and sometimes that can mask what we should be doing. And that's where you can step in, Scott, and not that you're heartless. I know you care about everybody that you're dealing with, but you can also look at things critically and think about, okay, what makes the most sense? What's the smartest thing here? What's going to have the least amount of bad consequences? And sometimes you have to step in and say, hey, I know this is really important to you, and I know why it is. Let me explain to you here why this is an alternative way to think about things that could actually be better for you in the long run.
The questions I ask people, or my advisors ask people, are questions that you might have thought about but kind of push it away because it's too hard to think about. Like maybe your spouse's lights are going dim. Maybe they have to go to a nursing home. Do you take them home or not? How do I handle it? How do I handle the money? These are really, really questions that it hits your heart and you don't want to face it. And I'd rather bring it out up front versus wait until the last minute and causing more trouble, more problems later. So you've got to ask these hard questions. For example, let's say you have a son or a daughter, and if they inherit your money, are they going to blow it? Or maybe they've got a wife, or I should say a spouse, a husband or wife, a spouse that, you lost your relationship with your son or daughter because the spouse pulled you away from your child. How do you pass the money on? These are real questions that you don't want to talk about because this is really close to heart. And you kind of get, I've had people come to my office, Alex, and we talk about these areas because, again, it's about your money and buttoning up your estate. But again, we've got to ask deep questions. And how do we pass the money on? And all of a sudden you have an estranged child because of a spouse, possibly. Or maybe they have a special needs son or daughter, because we handle a lot of that. And all of a sudden they have their estate set up wrong. You pass away, your wife, your spouse passes away. The money goes to your son, but your son passed away. Now, how does that money go down? Do you want it to go to the spouse or your children? Well, maybe you need a testamentary trust to make sure it goes to the child, and maybe a different trustee because you maybe don't want the spouses to handle it. You want someone else because they could get remarried and now your money goes to the new family. These are questions you don't want to think about. No one wants to talk about your kids passing, By the way, it happened in my family. You guys understand, I've been through some challenges that I'm able to take from my life experiences, put it inside of my financial practice, and help who? Help those of you listening right now. Because when you've been through a bump in the road, well, maybe you just know how to avoid that bump for someone else. And they don't have to go through the anxiety, stress, excessive taxes, and the crows and the clowns that eventually shows up at the funeral. That's chapter 11 of our book, Alex. If you want chapter 11, I'll email to you. Call Bonnie, 609-488-4646. Ask for chapter 11. We can email it to you today with totally no cost, no obligation. I just give Bonnie a call, 609-488-4646, and say, Bonnie, I'd like to read chapter 6 of Scott's book. I'm not a good reader, but I'd like to read that. I can tell you, you will love it. You'll hear my life experiences and action steps that you can apply today, not tomorrow. Don't be double done with all this knowledge. Take action. Don't put it off.
More financial insanity with Scott McLean on the way.
Stop for a moment and think about this. Do you know how much money in your 401k or IRA is actually yours? Or will the government take a bigger chunk than you thought? Remember, you still might owe taxes on that money, but do you have a plan to help make sure you don't pay more than you should? At McLean Advisory Group, we believe you deserve to keep more of what you've earned, which is why we're here to help you navigate the confusing world of retirement taxes. It's your money. You deserve to know what's at stake. Right now, taxes are historically low, but they won't be this low forever. So call the McLean Advisory Group team today so you don't miss out on this opportunity. 609-488-4646. That's 609-488-4646. You work hard for your money, and we'll work just as hard to help you keep it. McLean Advisory Group, 609-488-4646. Investment advisory services offered through Sound Income Strategies, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisory firm. McLean Tax Advisory Group and Sound Income Strategies are not associated entities.
I call it the chicken and the egg. The chicken is the investment, the egg is the dividend. And so when the chicken pops out the eggs, if you don't need the money, let's reinvest the eggs and buy more chickens.
Man, that's just an excellent analogy, Scott.
This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, powered by McLean Advisory Group.
The basics of special needs benefits and trust planning. Talking about that today. This is Financial Insanity. I'm Alex Dingman, alongside, as always, Scott McLean of McLean Advisory Group. And then also, maybe his better half, I don't know, but special guest Dave Connolly, lawyer in the area for over 40 years and is now a consultant for the firm of Elizabeth Apollo, of course. But Dave, coming in here to educate us a little bit about a very important topic, because maybe your current advisor hasn't asked these important questions, and this is something that should be checked in on a yearly basis because things can change. But talking about taking care of someone with special needs and talking about the benefits that go into that. And Dave, this is important stuff because there are resources out there that folks might just not be aware of.
Absolutely. With a special needs child, or adult, you want to be able to take advantage of whatever government entitlement programs there are. There are a myriad of different programs out there. Some of them are means tested, which means that they're critical on your assets and your income. Others you're entitled to regardless, depending upon how long you've worked. The Social Security office would administer them and will determine whether you qualify or not. But the more important ones are Medicaid and SSI. Those are means-tested programs that you have to qualify for. The SSI will pay for your shelter and food. The Medicaid, which is more important, will pay for your medical, such as long-term care, home care, provide you a myriad of different medical resolutions. And if you qualify, it becomes very important to maintain those benefits. The problem is that parents or other people that want to take care of a special needs child or person, they don't understand that if they provide income directly to that person, they get kicked off the entitlement program. And when you're living in a long-term care facility that's costing $12,000 a month and Medicaid's picking up the tab, if you get kicked off, you got a lot of problems. So proper planning has to be performed in order to provide some assistance to the disabled person who is getting the entitlement programs.
Very important. And if you hear something today, the number 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646. And Dave, it seems like an obvious question, but why is this so important? What are some of the challenges that somebody is going to face, especially financially, if they are taking care of someone with special needs?
Well, you want to maintain that person on the entitlement programs, as I indicated before. So what does the trust do? The Special Needs Trust provides a quality of life that will allow that disabled person to maintain that quality and still maintain the government assistance. For example, the Medicaid program will pay for the long-term care facility, but other things such as transportation to and from the doctors, recreation, a computer, all of these items are not addressed by Medicaid, and as a result, the Special Needs Trust is set up so that it will provide these tools to the disabled persons to bring them up to a quality of life. So you got a twofold problem. One, to keep the medical benefits flowing in. Two, to bring the person up to a quality of life so that they're not just the basic having their bills paid, the medical bills paid, but have no quality.
Alex, I'm thinking as Dave is sharing this critical information, as we look at clients on a daily basis, we're always asking, how is your wife feeling? How is your husband feeling? How are the kids? Tell me how the kids are doing and the grandkids. This determines, it starts from the first appointment when we ever meet with people to really dive deep, to make sure that all areas of your finances that you're listening to us right now, you out there right now, are all areas buttoned up. And the reason why I say are they buttoned up is because people may not have asked, by the way, how are the grandkids? The reason you ask how the grandkids is could be a special needs grandchild. And what kind of benefits? Because if they have in their language per stirpes to pass the bloodline, and then mom and dad pass away and their son had passed away previously, it goes to the bloodline. Now, this is so critical to ask your advisor on a yearly basis, at a minimum on a yearly basis. Hey, are we buttoned up so the Uncle Sam, the crows and the clowns don't show up at the funeral to take my money? And we talk about that in chapter 11 of my book, which is why when I worked with Dave for tech since 1983, 84, so many years, and there's a lot of good attorneys out there, but do they work with their financial advisor and their tax advisor as they conglomerate, they collaborate together to protect your assets? And the purpose of these trusts is to what? Protect assets, and to get as much that you've paid into the government, you get out. And this is the mistake I can tell you I see so often, Alex.
Absolutely. And that number, 609-488-4646 for Scott and his team at McLean Advisory Group, 609-488-4646. This all part of that holistic approach. That's why Scott brings in a guy like Dave. Not that Scott's not really smart, but he knows to even bring around even smarter people than him to help him with this important stuff.
I always have smarter people than me, Alex. It makes me look good. But here's the challenge, Alex, as you brought up, which is very, really wise. If you haven't brought this up to your advisor, feel free to give us a call. And the reason why you call us is maybe if you want to speak with Dave or speak with Elizabeth, or speak with someone who does this. They do this all the time. This is not a surgeon that is doing surgery once a month or once a year. This is you need to know the game because the rules change so often. And when they change, if they miss one dot, one iota, one area, this is where the problems come out. And when the problems come out, that happens to what? More chaos. And
Right.
so your money could be at risk. Hey, if you want to get a hold of Dave, call my office. He does the estate planning, then along with Elizabeth. He's our consultant here at 609-488-4646. This topic no one likes to talk about, but I like to talk about it because, again, it's part of buttoning up, making sure your finances are really set up and as best as possible bulletproof for any of the crows and clowns that show up at the funeral or shows up when your lights are going dim, or maybe your spouse's lights is going dim and your spouse, maybe you need to have an irrevocable trust. Maybe you start setting assets for your mom and dad. Dave, which he didn't say, is a veteran receiving 100% of veterans benefits. He served in Vietnam and he survived it, although he's gone through a lot of challenges. But I will tell you, if you're a veteran out there or a spouse of a veteran, there's also benefits including the benefits that we're talking about today. And this trust could be a great piece of your discussion. Hey, give me a call off the air if you'd like to talk to me, no cost. We're not going to spin you or twist your arm. People have known me for how many years now? It's 13, 14, 15 years on the radio now at 609-488-4646. If we can guide you, if you want me to get a hold of Dave and maybe put you guys together, no cost, no obligation. You can ask him some questions at his office. Please feel free to give me a call, 609-488-4646, because there's nothing worse, Alex, than procrastination. And that is the demon of finance I've found so often.
Absolutely. As that is Scott McLean. We're being joined by Dave Connolly, also lawyer in the New Jersey area for over 40 years, now a consultant for the firm of Elizabeth Apollo. And we're talking about something very important today. We're talking about special needs benefits. And you hit on something, Scott, there that I think is important, and that is just who are we talking about here when we talk about who qualifies for this? Both when we're talking about someone with special needs, and then also we got to think too from financial. Is there some sort of threshold, or how do you qualify for something like this?
Yeah, most of the time you qualify, you have to be disabled. For some programs such as Medicare, which is definitely not needs-based, everybody qualifies for Medicare who has worked and has turned 65. Or there's other certain requirements for younger people that they can qualify.
Why are you looking
also
at me, Dave? Oh, I'm turning 65.
So certain programs are needs-based. So there's all different programs. But if you want, we're working on a paper in our office. If you call Scott's office and leave your email, we'll email you the paper, and you can get at least a background. Then you can decide whether you want to pursue it or not.
And what about some common misconceptions or mistakes when it comes to special needs planning? Because I know without some guidance, there's probably some opportunities or some mistakes that could be made if you don't have that guidance.
I think it's the intake, number one, the intake form, the information that you receive. Did they drill down and get as much information as possible? Number two, when can you apply? And is there a time limit? Could there be like a 5-year look back provision? I got a phone call last week where someone says, yeah, we're going to transfer the assets into all 3 of my children's names and we're good. And I'm saying, you're not good. You're still in trouble. You still have the 5-year. And imagine one of the children spends 1/3 of the assets. The other 2 has it. They're going to come after that 1/3 of the assets. So this is a problem, Dave.
Oh, absolutely. Without proper planning, you're not going to get the entitlement or the needs-based benefits. The trust is there to allow you a quality of life while you're still maintaining your SSI and Medicaid benefits. If you qualify for SSI in New Jersey, you're automatically qualified for Medicaid. The qualifications for Medicaid are quite complicated. They're hard to. It's a hard process to go through. But once you do qualify, they're picking up $10,000 a month for the long-term care which is a lot of money if you're in there for 4 or 5 or 6 years.
And why not protect your assets? Hey, this is Scott McLean. If we can help you, we would love to help you. 609-488-4646. Financial planning is not just easy. It's not a set it and forget it. This is why you give our studios a call. This is you. Maybe you're facing this. Maybe you're going into this area. 609-488-4646. I'd love to talk to you off the air.
Scott opened up the Veterans Benefit Advisory Group in 2008 to help veterans and their families, guiding them to these important benefits. Again, that number, 609-488-4646. The number for Scott McLean, McLean Advisory Group, 609-488-4646. And again, a special salute and thank you to all of our veterans.
This radio program may contain information which has gone regulatory or other significant changes since its original recording. The information and views expressed on today's show is educational in nature and is not intended to be a recommendation for any specific investment, product, strategy, plan, tax, or legal advice. Information presented is believed to be factual and up to date, but we do not guarantee its accuracy. Investment advisory services offered through Sound Income Strategies, LLC, a SEC-registered investment advisory firm. McLean Advisory Group and Sound Income Strategies, LLC, are not associated entities.
This radio show is a paid placement.